You don't get to ask those questions. What's wrong with you, Mom? Why are you so scared?
Oh my God, you're crazy. You're crazy for supporting this.
The internet has seen Joe Rogan angry before. People know him as loud, fearless, and completely unfiltered, but nobody expected the kind of explosion that happened when he turned his attention toward Candace Owens and the shocking claims she made about Charlie Kirk's assassination. The second Rogan started talking, you could hear something different in his voice. This wasn't his normal joking anger. This wasn't playful debate. He sounded genuinely disgusted. And honestly, that's what made the moment hit so hard. According to Rogan, Owens didn't just cross a line, she sprinted past it. While people were still processing the tragedy, while emotions were already running high, Owens allegedly jumped online with dramatic accusations and theories that had no evidence behind them. Rogan could barely believe what he was hearing. In his mind, this wasn't commentary anymore, it was opportunism. It was somebody using a heartbreaking situation to grab headlines and keep attention focused on themselves. And once Rogan got started, he didn't stop. He tore into her claims piece by piece, mocking the way she presented speculation like undeniable truth.
Not wanting Charlie's caricature to survive when the actual Charlie Kirk individual, who Charlie Kirk actually is so much more important. The caricature, the cartoon, is that Charlie's this young, smart guy, made a career out of debating college kids.
What they have told us about Lance Twiggs. Obviously, we're going to go over this indictment. This kind of came up in the umpteenth hour. I'm going to tell you my honest opinion on it. There's more going on here. Very clearly, there's more going on here. So you can join us.
Already very difficult for me to do this for a lot of reasons, but I knew it was important because I didn't want the last thing that people had in their minds about Charlie to be the moment he lost his life. That was what was especially hard because he's just had so many amazing moments throughout his career. And as I was saying, I was having this discussion with George this morning, obviously through a lot of tears, about not wanting Charlie's caricature to survive when the actual Charlie Kirk individual, who Charlie Kirk actually is so much more important. The caricature, the cartoon, is that Charlie's this young, smart guy, made a career out of debating college kids, decided not to go to college, started Turning Point USA. And I think a lot of people thought that Charlie must take himself a bit too seriously. And I want you guys to know that that could not be further from the truth. Charlie and me were always laughing. Yes, he was ambitious. Everybody knows Charlie is ambitious. I met him back in 2017 when Turning Point was this very young organization.
He accused her of feeding confusion, manipulating emotions, and turning a devastating event into internet entertainment. But here's the twist nobody expected. The more Rogan talked, the bigger the backlash became. Social media exploded. Fans picked sides instantly. Some praised Rogan for finally saying what others were afraid to say. Others accused him of going too far. Suddenly, this wasn't just about Candace Owens anymore. It became a massive fight about truth, influence, and the dangerous power of online personalities. And the deeper the story went, the uglier it became. For years, Joe Rogan built his reputation on saying exactly what was on his mind. That's what made his audience trust him in the first place. Whether people agreed with him or not, they believed he was being real. He never tried to sound polished or politically perfect. He talked like a regular guy sitting around with friends, and millions of people connected with that honesty. That raw personality turned Rogan into one of the biggest voices in media. His podcast became massive because listeners felt like they were hearing real conversations instead of scripted talking points. But that same honesty also got him into trouble countless times. Rogan has been criticized for controversial guests, heated opinions, and comments that sparked outrage online. Yet somehow he always managed to survive the backlash because his fans believed believed he was speaking from authenticity, not manipulation. Candace Owens built a completely different kind of image. She became famous through confrontation. Owens knew how to dominate headlines, create viral moments, and keep herself in the center of political debates. Her supporters loved her confidence. They saw her as fearless, someone willing to challenge mainstream narratives no matter the consequences. But her critics viewed her very differently. They accused her of being sensational, dramatic, and willing to say almost anything if it kept attention on her platform, and that tension had been building for years. Even before this controversy, Joe Rogan had occasionally criticized media personalities who pushed conspiracy theories without evidence. He repeatedly warned that social media rewards outrage instead of truth. According to him, people no longer cared about facts, they cared about whoever sounded the loudest. He believed modern internet culture created an environment where shocking claims spread faster than reality. What nobody expected was that one day Candace Owens would become the center of that exact argument. When the news surrounding Charlie Kirk's assassination broke, emotions were already at a boiling point. People were shocked, angry, confused, and desperate for answers. The situation was chaotic from the start. Rumors flooded social media within minutes. Every influencer, commentator, and political personality seemed to have their own theory about what happened. But Rogan believed Owens took things to another level entirely. According to him, instead of waiting for facts, she leaned into speculation almost immediately. He accused her of presenting rumors like they were confirmed truths, and to Rogan, that was unforgivable. He argued that when emotions are already high, irresponsible commentary can become dangerous incredibly fast. What made the situation even more explosive was how confident Owens sounded while delivering her claims. Rogan mocked her delivery repeatedly. He joked that she speaks with the certainty of someone reading official documents when there's no proof behind her words. He compared it to watching somebody build an entire movie plot out of thin air and then act shocked when people question it. But behind the jokes, Rogan sounded deeply frustrated. He explained that millions of people listen to figures like Owens. That kind of influence comes with responsibility. In his eyes, throwing out accusations during a national tragedy wasn't brave or rebellious, it was reckless. And the more he talked about it, the angrier he became. At one point, Rogan reportedly slammed the entire culture surrounding viral misinformation. He argued that modern audiences reward confidence over accuracy. If somebody sounds passionate enough, people automatically assume they must know something. Owens, according to Rogan, mastered that formula perfectly. He accused her of using emotional storytelling and dramatic delivery to make speculation feel believable. And honestly, that criticism struck a nerve online, because while some people defended Owens by claiming she was just asking questions, others agreed with Rogan completely. They believed she blurred the line between commentary and misinformation. Social media instantly became a battlefield. Clips of Rogan's rant spread everywhere. Memes flooded Twitter. TikTok creators dissected every second of his comments. Some users called it one of the most brutal public callouts Rogan had ever delivered. But here's where things got even messier. Instead of backing down, Owens reportedly doubled down on her position. That only made Rogan even more furious. According to people close to the situation, Rogan felt like she was intentionally fueling chaos instead of calming tensions. He argued that once somebody with a huge audience spreads a theory, the damage is already done. Even if the claims later get disproven, millions of people will still believe them. That's the part Rogan couldn't stop talking about. He warned that misinformation doesn't just disappear, it sticks in people's minds. It changes how they see reality. He described conspiracy culture as a trap that pulls people deeper and deeper until they stop trusting anything except the personalities feeding them outrage. And in his opinion, Owens knew exactly what she was doing. Rogan compared the situation to pouring gasoline onto a fire. The country was already divided. Emotions were already unstable, and suddenly massive public figures were turning tragedy into content for clicks and engagement. Rogan said that kind of behavior destroys trust, creates paranoia, and pushes people further apart. Then came the moment that really shocked listeners. Rogan stopped joking completely. Usually, even when he criticizes people, there's still humor mixed into his commentary. But during this rant, his tone reportedly turned cold and serious. He said lies surrounding murder and assassination aren't harmless gossip. According to him, false narratives can ruin lives, fuel hatred, and even inspire violence. That's when fans realized this wasn't just another internet argument. Rogan sounded personally offended by the entire situation. He repeatedly emphasized that people with influence should know better. He said there's a huge difference between discussing unanswered questions and pretending speculation is fact. One comes from curiosity, the other comes from ego and attention seeking. And that's when he took direct aim at Candace Owens herself. Rogan accused her of loving the image of being the only person telling the truth. He claims she positions herself like a fearless outsider fighting hidden corruption, because that image keeps her audience emotionally invested. But real truth-seeking requires humility. It means admitting when you don't know something. It means waiting for evidence instead of rushing to create dramatic narratives. Owens, in his opinion, did the exact opposite.
He mocked how quickly she turned uncertainty into certainty. He laughed bitterly while describing how modern influencers act like detectives, prosecutors, and judges all at once without actual proof. Rogan said the internet rewards people for sounding convincing, not for being correct. And viewers could tell this issue genuinely bothered him. What nobody expected was how emotional the fallout became afterward. People close to Charlie Kirk were reportedly devastated by the chaos surrounding the assassination coverage. Instead of focusing on grief and healing, public conversation turned into non-stop arguments, theories, and accusations. Friends, supporters, and family members watched social media turn a real tragedy into entertainment. Rogan repeatedly brought attention back to that human cost. He reminded listeners that behind every viral controversy are actual people suffering in real life. According to him, online personalities often forget that because they become addicted to attention. Every tragedy becomes another opportunity for clicks, views, and trending hashtags. That comment hit hard because so many people recognize the truth behind it. Modern media moves incredibly fast. Outrage spreads in seconds, and once a dramatic narrative catches attention, it becomes almost impossible to stop. Rogan warned that audiences themselves are partly responsible because sensational stories generate huge engagement. Calm, careful reporting rarely goes viral. Chaos does. But here's the heartbreaking part. Rogan admitted he wasn't even surprised anymore. He said society has reached a point where people expect dishonesty from public figures. Trust has become so damaged that outrageous claims feel normal now. In his eyes, Owens wasn't just one bad actor, she represented a much bigger cultural problem. And the more he explained his frustration, the more viewers started debating a deeper question. When does free speech turn into irresponsible influence? That debate exploded everywhere online. Some fans praised Rogan for standing up against misinformation. Others argued he was being hypocritical because controversial discussions helped build his own career too. Critics accused him of acting morally superior while benefiting from internet outrage himself. But Rogan didn't seem interested in backing down. He continued discussing the controversy in later episodes, repeating the same core message again and again. Facts matter. Evidence matters. Accountability matters. Without those things, public conversation collapses into chaos. And honestly, that's what made his rant resonate so strongly. It wasn't just celebrity drama anymore. It became a reflection of the internet itself, a place where confidence often beats truth, a place where emotion spreads faster than evidence, a place where people choose narratives based on loyalty instead of facts.
Rogan argued that if influential personalities can throw around explosive accusations without consequences, then nobody knows what reality even is anymore. And once society loses trust in truth itself, everything starts falling apart. That fear sat underneath every word he said. As clips continued spreading online, audiences became obsessed with the feud. Reaction channels covered every update. Political commentators jumped into the fight. Some defended Owens passionately, while others called her behavior irresponsible and dangerous. The story dominated online discussions for days. Meanwhile, Rogan's comments kept gaining traction because people could feel how real his anger was. It didn't sound rehearsed, it sounded personal. And whether viewers agreed with him or not, they couldn't ignore the emotion behind it. That emotional intensity is exactly why the controversy exploded beyond politics. People connected it to their own frustrations about modern media. Many viewers admitted they were exhausted by constant outrage, endless conspiracy theories, and influencers treating serious events like reality television. Rogan became the voice of that frustration in the moment. But at the same time, others felt Owens was being unfairly targeted simply for questioning narratives. And that disagreement turned the entire situation into an even bigger cultural war. Friendships online were suddenly divided. Comment sections became toxic battlegrounds. Fans attacked each other non-stop. And through it all, the original tragedy almost became secondary to the internet spectacle surrounding it. That irony wasn't lost on Rogan either. He pointed out how quickly social media transforms real pain into entertainment. One moment, people are mourning. The next moment, algorithms are rewarding whoever creates the most shocking storyline. Rogan warned that this cycle is poisoning public conversation and making society emotionally numb. And honestly, that may have been the most chilling part of everything he said. Because underneath the anger, Rogan sounded disappointed. Disappointed that truth feels optional now. Disappointed that outrage has become more valuable than honesty. Disappointed that people with enormous influence continue feeding division because controversy is profitable. By the end of his rant, one thing became crystal clear. This wasn't just about Candace Owens. It wasn't even just about Charlie Kirk. To Rogan, this controversy represented something much bigger and much darker happening in modern culture. A world where people no longer wait for facts. A world where emotional narratives spread faster than reality. A world where internet personalities can shape millions of opinions with nothing but confidence and a microphone. And that terrified him. Because, according to Rogan, once truth stops mattering, everything becomes chaos. Every tragedy becomes political theater. Every emotional moment becomes content. Every public figure becomes trapped in a competition for attention. That's why he exploded the way he did. Not because he simply disliked Candace Owens, but because he believed her behavior symbolized a dangerous shift happening across media and social platforms everywhere. He saw somebody turning uncertainty into spectacle while millions watched it unfold in real time. And whether people supported Rogan or hated his reaction, one thing is undeniable. His words struck a nerve. Because deep down, people know the internet has changed the way society handles tragedy. Outrage spreads faster than compassion. Speculation spreads faster than truth. And sometimes the loudest voices become the most powerful, even when they have no evidence at all. That's the battle Rogan believed he was fighting, not just against Owens, but against an entire culture addicted to drama, division, and emotional chaos. And in the end, his message was brutally simple. If society keeps rewarding lies simply because they sound exciting, then eventually nobody will know what's real anymore.